I think what we want to do is to highlight the exertions of Jews in defense of the Republic and to make sure that people don't forget that in difficult times everybody, but particularly Jews, put on the uniform and did what they needed to do to make sure that we stay free.
In these times, is there some passing over, no pun intended, of Jewish contributions and the diminishing of Jewish contributions to American patriotism?
Well, there's always been a diminishing of Jewish contributions to American patriotism. Most Americans don't know anybody in uniform now. But a generation or two ago, everybody served, including Jews, and we've forgotten that. I think we're in the process of diminishing everybody's service in an environment in which we have an all-volunteer force and very, very few people defend the country. So it's important that we keep informing Americans of the contributions of all of us who put on the uniform.
Prior to you, Tibor Rubin was a Jewish Medal of Honor winner. And Tibor Rubin has passed away. How many living Medal of Honor, Jewish Medal of Honor winners exist?
There are 65 alive. When I was decorated, there were almost 400. So we're something of a wasting asset now.
There was discrimination in the length of time it took for Tibor Rubin to get acknowledged. Is that still present, you think, in the military?
Oh, there's less discrimination now than there used to be, but right. Ted Rubin, I think the time between his action and when he was decorated was 55 years. Lenny Kravitz and a host of others were recommended by their fellow soldiers and sailors and Marines for the Medal of Honor, but the chain of command accidentally, or in many cases, if not most, on purpose, lost the paperwork. Now there's been a very big and so far successful effort to resurrect all the recommendations that were made for people who should have been recognized but were not, because the chain of command discriminated against them.
Do you have any concerns about the administration's policy towards the Middle East vis-a-vis nuclearizing Iran and helping keep Israel protected?
Well, we have to do a much better job of ensuring that proliferation of nuclear weapons does not carry on. If you think about the countries that have nuclear weapons now, or those that might get nuclear weapons, unstable countries whose objectives are inimical to our own, to say nothing of our allies, like those in NATO and in the Middle East, like Israel, you can be scared. And we are not doing a very good job of ensuring that proliferation doesn't increase. We in the United States, in all administrations, have to do a much better job of preventing that from happening. So far, I'm not particularly happy, and we shouldn't be sanguine about the spread of nuclear weapons.
How do you feel Israel is being depicted in the media?
Well, I'm a media guy, so I only know what we do, and so far, so good. But, you know, the media itself is an interesting thing. Every time you make a decision on what story to run, let alone how to run it, there's bias involved. So there's always bias in the media. What we need to do, all of us, not people in media, because we can't rely on the media to do everything that you want them to do. But all of us who are not in the media we have to do a much better job of educating the American public about the situation in the Middle East, about what has an impact on our own defense, the defense of our allies, about what's happening in the Western Pacific, and so on. As long as we are mute, nobody's going to get the full story.
But is there an inherent bias that Israel and Jewish subjects are not in vogue now with regard to critical race theory and ethnic studies, that Jewishness is being made part of the colonialism in the MidEast?
No, I don't think so at all. But I tell you what you do have, and it has nothing to do with the media, there's an increase in anti-Semitism. And politicians who are supposed to be at the forefront of freedom, who are the leaders of this country, need to do a much better job of educating people so that there is a decrease in anti-Semitism. So far, they haven't been doing a very good job.
And what type of leaders are you referring to?
I'm talking about political leaders, or elected leaders. And the people who get elected are wholly a function of who elects them. And the people who are running need to do a better job of informing their supporters. And they have a lot of work to do.